So let's piece together a story, shall we? This one comes from the logs of an adventuring party who thought they were just dealing with a simple monster problem. Turns out, they were very, very wrong. It all started with a single cryptic note, but what it unraveled was a high-level conspiracy and a path into a place literally lost to time.
And here's the crew we're following. You've got Cedric the Druid, who's one with the natural world, all the way to Calypso the Wizard, wielding some serious arcane power. You can see it's a real specialist team here. And trust me, they're going to need every last bit of that combined skill for what was coming.
And this is the exact moment everything changed. They find a single note. Now, that quote sounds pretty ominous, right? But here's the thing. This wasn't some kind of threat or ransom demand. No, the truth was way more chilling. This was solid evidence of a carefully planned conspiracy.
So this one little note, it just flips everything they thought they knew about the recent Knoll attacks on its head. This wasn't some random, monstrous rampage. This was a job.
It wasn't a threat. It was a contract. A literal employment contract for the Knolls. And it was offered by some shadowy figure or group known only as The Hand. And just like that, it clicks. Someone is pulling the strings here, directing all this supposedly random violence like a weapon.
And I mean, just look at the detail here. It's a step-by-step plan. Hit the outpost, then the village, then the main town of Apfeldern. They even add instructions for what to do with any prisoners they took. This isn't just some chaotic raid. This is a full-blown military operation, all being run by this mysterious hand.
Okay, so once the immediate Knoll threat was taken care of, the party's attention snaps from this invisible mastermind they can't see to a mystery that was literally right under their noses, hidden beneath these ancient murals in the very room they were in.
But first things first, they had to deal with the loot the Knolls had gathered. And, being the good guys, they decide half of it should go right back to the towns that were attacked to help them rebuild. With that settled, their focus goes back to the room itself, to those strange murals, and that's when they spot something.
And there it was, not tucked away behind some complex magical ward or an elaborate puzzle. Nope. It was just hidden by centuries of neglect. A staircase leading down, just waiting for someone to finally look close enough. And in that moment, they realized they weren't just in some Knoll hideout. They just stumbled upon the entrance to something ancient.
So as they're standing there, about to head down into this raw, unfinished darkness, you gotta ask yourself, right? What kind of place is so old, so forgotten, that no one even bothered to finish carving the stone? What were they about to walk into? The second they stepped off that last stair, the world changed. The air felt heavy, thick, with a silence that was thousands of years old. This was no longer a Knoll lair. It felt like they were trespassing, stepping back in time, into a place far older than they could have imagined.
So they play it smart. They proceed with caution. Cedric, the druid, shapeshifts into a cat and just slips on ahead to scout out the tunnels. It was a good move, too, because from under one of the doors, he heard it. That unmistakable sound of scratching, of movement. Yeah, they were definitely not alone down here.
The immediate threat turned out to be 8 giant rats. The party made pretty short work of them, but what they found in the rat's nest, that was the real story here. It was another piece of the puzzle, and this one was a game changer.
So digging through all that filth, they find these old coins. And Talenor, the ranger, he takes one look and he knows. This wasn't just old money. This stuff was ancient. We're talking coinage from the very first civilizations after the calamity. We're talking nearly 1,000 years ago. This dungeon wasn't just old. It was an artifact.
All right, so as they push deeper, they run into their next roadblock. And this one wasn't something they could solve with swords or fireballs. Nope, this was a brain teaser. It was going to take some real clever teamwork and, well, a little bit of magic.
So here's the puzzle. In one of the chambers, there's this little iron grate on the floor. Cedric, still in a small animal form, squeezes through and finds a whole hidden room below. The problem is the heavy grate was designed to only be lifted from the outside, so now he's trapped in and the rest of the party is locked out. So, what do you do? Well, their solution is just beautiful teamwork. Okay, get this. Cedric acts as their eyes, peeking up through the grates to give them a line of sight into the sealed room. With that visual, Talinar uses a teleportation spell, Misty Step, to pop right into the room with him. From there, he's strong enough to lift the heavy grate, and boom, the way is open. Absolutely brilliant. And what they found waiting for them on the other side of that grate, well, it was worth all the trouble. It was a treasure hoard, but not one that was just lost to time.
Oh no, this was put here on purpose. This cache was deliberately preserved. But what really blew their minds was what it all meant. See, this wasn't some dusty old tomb or a monster's collection of shiny things. It was a storeroom. Everything was packed away neatly in crates. Someone sealed this place up a long, long time ago, intending to keep this stuff safe.
And you won't believe what was in those crates. A full suit of armor, a pair of gloves, and a ring. Each piece was perfectly preserved, untouched by the centuries, and you could practically feel the dormant magic just humming off of them.
Now you'd think finding a haul like that would be the end of the story, right? Pack up, go home, count your gold. But they knew. Standing there in that ancient silence, surrounded by questions, they knew this wasn't the end. Heck, it wasn't even the beginning of the end. This was just the start.
This line from their log really says it all. I mean, sure, they found some amazing treasure, but answers? They had zero. Who is the Hand? What is this place? They had only just scratched the surface, and you could feel the dark, silent dungeon just stretching out into the blackness ahead of them.
And that led them to a choice. Do they take their incredible new loot and retreat to safety, or do they push on into the unknown? Well, with all those questions hanging in the air, they did the only thing a true adventuring party would do. They went deeper.
And that just leaves us with this one big question, doesn't it? They're now armed with powerful, ancient magic that hasn't seen the light of day in centuries. What else is down there, waiting in the dark? What secrets, what dangers, and what connection to the Hand will they uncover in a dungeon that is only just beginning to wake up?